I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Getting to the point, but taking the scenic route to get there. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome in, 100.7 The Score. It is the Bottom Line. I'm Rob Bro alongside Jeff McGuire. Clint Scott also with us today.
The only person who's where he's supposed to be on a normal day.
That's true. Well, Clint's always where he's supposed to be.
Well, no, like today.
You beat me to my own joke.
We're in the First United Bank studio. You can join us on the Visual Edge IT hotline at 806-771-0973. You can also find us on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/Double T Sports Network. Or follow along with all the content on DoubleTSportsNetwork.com. A lot to get into today. We'll just rip the Band-Aid off. Texas Tech softball losing in a bit of a heartbreaking fashion last night. And not really a reason for it, except for some mis-execution.
No one to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
Across the board. I mean, we can talk about a interesting strike zone. We can talk about obstruction and interference and umpires. All of that, half of that went your way, and you were able to capitalize on it. But to go back to a very, very good movie, you throw the ball, you hit the ball, you catch the ball. And you did not do all of those things at the end of the game last night.
You did them better than Texas, except for the one play. Because they had 4 errors, and you played pretty clean.
They did, and you played pretty clean. It's not just the errors. Like, it goes to the first inning as well.
Yep.
You have the bases loaded
yeah.
and don't get a run across. Now, it happens. Like, you're at the Women's College World Series. You are at the highest level of your sport playing for a championship game. I'm not saying that it was doomed from that point forward, but that was a missed opportunity. That was one fly ball there, and you get a run scored. One little CNI single, one softball that's got eyes on it, and you get 2 or 3 runs across there. Like, that was an opportunity that was missed that would have made up for everything else in the game.
One play in any sport will never lose a game.
No.
But it just so happens that the one play you generally talk about is in the biggest moment of the game. And that's what happened last night. And I don't understand a few things here. I don't really understand why they intentionally walked. I mean, I get it from a mechanic standpoint. You're getting the force outs. But in that moment, Nyjah Kennedy, that's why you bring her in, pitch to her. I don't really understand why Valdez is standing behind the plate. And I don't understand why there wasn't maybe a timeout or a pitching visit after the second pitch. And then one more. Why is Nyjah Kennedy throwing anywhere near the plate? I mean, those 4 things combined just did not make any sense to me.
Why is she standing behind the plate? Even baseball, you're standing behind the plate at first. You've just got your glove way out to the right or the left, depending on which way the batter is. And then once the ball is thrown, you move over to go get it. You're still behind the plate.
You put a foot across the box.
Yeah, but you don't end up there. And the whole time, the destination was staying
away
right there. Was staying behind the plate.
That is where, if you want to ask why she's behind the plate to begin with, that's where she's supposed to be. It's after the pitch is thrown, then you're like you put the hand out.
That's some semantics there. Behind the plate is not. Yeah,
that's not what I'm banging. You have the number 1 pitcher in the world. That was, I kind of thought the pitch before the one that was hit was a strike.
Yeah,
like you could have convinced me it was a strike trying to throw it out. And going back to your third point there, I think, why aren't you calling a timeout there? Like, go,
right? Yeah,
hit the mascot that's over there.
Yeah,
that's the question to ask. The standing behind home plate, I'm like,
it's a piece to the puzzle to me. Certainly not the biggest piece. But again, that's not why you lost the game. Ultimately, that's what gave them 2 runs. But, again, you go back to the first inning, you didn't score. And you have some other execution in the game that you just didn't execute offensively.
And none of that means, though, that you can't win tonight.
Sure.
Because I didn't see anything from Texas until the bottom of the 6th that I thought they had an idea of what Candy was throwing.
Yeah, when you're playing ones-on-ones here, you're now 0-2 against Texas, but it was 2-1, 2-1.
Yeah.
I mean, and both of them you had a 1-0 lead. And one of them was a walk-off. The other one was a kind of a freak thing. And the bottom of the second, well, both of them were kind of freak plays. So they've not really beaten you straight up in a way where I say, man, that's just insurmountable, except for the game where Kennedy wasn't pitching.
It was run rolled, yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't really a one-on-one kind of thing. So I think you're absolutely competitive, can win the next 2. I'm very excited to see it. I'm excited to see the lineups and the pitching and who's out there tonight, and if you even get the game in.
Uh-oh. I have not looked at the forecast. Hold, please.
It is
Hold,
dangerous in Oklahoma City tonight and all across the area.
Hello, computer. Come on, give me there.
Yeah.
Why did we go to Louisiana? There's no reason to go to Louisiana, computer.
Oklahoma
Go there.
City there you go.
Like, why did I click on Louisiana?
But just as far as the game goes, I thought you performed really well. I thought the fans were awesome there in Oklahoma City. Had a good showing. I'm sure Brennan was cheering loud there in the stands.
Is that where Brennan was?
He was there.
He was a little hot last night texting in our text.
I bet he was. I bet he was.
He's a little heated.
I would also like someone to explain to me in a way that I understand the obstruction rule.
If the hair on your chin is in the way, it's obstruction. That's the only way I can describe it. I thought she was dead to rights.
Yeah.
I thought there's no way you're going to call it. And her toe was in the way. I will concede her toe was in the way of the bag if it was a direct straight line.
As she's catching the ball, though.
Again,
yeah,
I will concede by definition her toe was in the way. I imagine this rule is going to get looked at.
It worked. It worked for Texas Tech, so I think it was a great call by the umpires. But
well,
I don't understand it.
I'll say this: it's been a story throughout the Women's College World Series, and I'll say this: I think they've called it consistently.
Yes,
but I don't think anyone has liked.
No,
other than it working out for your team. I think even as a whole, because I saw plenty of Red Raiders last night going like, "Woof,
yeah,
all right."
I was one of them, by the way.
That's one of those you say, great call. Yeah,
no,
incredible call.
I didn't. I was very much that is the correct call. I feel bad for Texas on that call.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't.
On that call. And only I didn't feel bad about the hit afterwards that ricocheted off the second baseman. I was like, for anybody else on any other team, man, that sucks. That was such a bad hop right in front of her, and it just ricocheted off of her glove.
Yeah.
But because it was Texas, you can suck that one. But the call, because of the rule, I was like, I feel
I still
dirty.
didn't feel bad. But on the other side, if the roles had been reversed,
I would have been hot.
Livid.
I'd have been livid.
Livid.
Livid is the right word there. So that's that. That was game 1 of the College World Series. Did you see the great jackets that Team Adidas and Patrick Mahomes gave him before the game? Big Mahomes logo on the back.
Did you a lot of good, didn't
numbers.
I want one.
They're so cool.
Did you a lot of good, didn't it?
That's not why they lost.
Keep that out of the locker room until you win.
What?
Cool. What?
Everyone gets new gear going to the World Series.
After you win.
All right.
If you are winning because you got new gear, great.
Okay.
If you are if you're winning because you don't have new gear,
no, every team ever gets new gear.
The streak.
All right, hand me
the
down
streak
from
is
the
broken.
80s until you win a championship. You don't get anything new.
You get this crusty stuff that no one else has
He
ever
could have
used.
given it to them after the season was over, no matter what. He had to do it, and then he lost.
You get the ones with spelling errors that said Red Riders.
Then statement: if he hadn't given, if he gave them the gear, they lost. If he hadn't given the gear, they wouldn't have lost. I'm a simple man with a simple plan.
I don't know that that's true. More after this and some headlines on the other side.
Getting to the point, but taking the scenic route to get there. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back, 100.7 The Score. It is the Bottom Line. Rob Burrow alongside Jeff McGuire, Clint Scott for 30 more minutes. Then we'll welcome in Jamie Lint. We'll talk a little baseball transfer portal and otherwise once Jamie gets here. But first, we want to get into some Texas Tech basketball.
Basketball? We're adding basketball finally?
We are.
Who's going to be who's the best taunter on Tech campus? That's the question we got to find out. Who can taunt them the most they get shaken from their free throw shot?
Right. I'm trying to. I don't know if there's a. I can't think of like a personality
Hershey.
like that. I can't think of a personality like that right now. You don't really have an instigator on campus that I can think of.
You don't have an instigator. I have nothing to back this up. I don't know why, but from the limited glimpses we've seen from Will Hammond, he seems like a pretty zingy guy.
If he is, it'd be like Phillip Rivers, like really clean.
No, that doesn't even make it worse. You're like, what did you just called me a nice diaper? What?
I don't know what that means.
Neither does anybody else, and that's why it's provocative.
Texas Tech basketball.
Not as exciting.
In the past, I have been critical of schedules made. I think a lot of people have.
And everybody else.
Because at the end of the year, you look back and say, well, you just didn't have the schedule to be in the position to get a top seed in the NCAA tournament.
2 reasons for that. 1, nobody wants to come here. You skipped a step and haven't gotten the next step yet when it comes to credibility. You went from a team that no one was scared of, so it didn't do you any good to play you, to now you're a team that they don't want to play you here because of how tough of a place it is to play, but you don't get the credit, and this is not a shot, of going to Kansas or Kentucky or North Carolina, the blue blood type programs.
No, I agree. I think we've seen there's only 4 or 5, like, we're not going to say no to that home and home.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, history, matchup,
Sure.
pick the route.
You haven't gotten to that next step yet.
I think that's a little bit of horseradish, and I'll tell you why. Speaking of Phillip Rivers.
Gosh dang it.
Because you were also playing like directional schools exclusively there for a few years. I'm not bagging on McCaslin. This is just how it is. But you've even replaced a game like that with Sam Houston this year, which is a big jump. And you don't really go into the season thinking, wow, Sam Houston, that's going to get us a 2 seed or a 1 seed. But unless, like, if you're playing Northeastern Louisiana in Idaho instead, that's like a 400th ranked net team instead of a 200th ranked net team. Mm-hmm. That's a big jump.
I think you're both correct here because
why? Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you why. I don't think people. I think it takes a lot to convince them to a home and home, but
Sure.
I don't think it's just because of where you are or who you are. I think that's what college basketball is, because most of the time when you get your high-profile matchups, they're MTEs, they're feast week, they're things like that. They might be now if you're, you used to be able to bank on the Big 12 SEC challenge, and I'm not upset that that's gone. I hope you get a Big 12 Big 10 challenge. The only reason I'm not upset that the Big 12 SEC challenge is gone is because they kept on screwing up the matchups and they made it bland and they did the same thing every single year. So what was the point? But for the SEC, for the ACC, that's built in and you can bank on that, right? So people just aren't really doing home and homes as much. Now, I also think the old regimes, the past 2 before McCaslin, also just did not try that hard. I think they knew that or thought it wasn't worth it or whatever. We'll get the work done in the Big 12, and they didn't try. Grant McCaslin has made it very clear that he is trying. You got screwed over by Texas A&M. There was a big sign that you were trying to do that. I don't think he would say no if somebody else approached them from a program. And so I think this is just confirming McCaslin's trying to change that.
100%.
Is it going to be littered like, hey, week 1 you're playing UConn, the next week you're playing Duke, and you're just lining all of them up? No, but again, that's a rarity. There's going to be a few schedules like that, but even then, that's from like UConn's perspective. Their conference isn't as good as the Big 12, and so Gonzaga might have that, but for the most part, your like a good schedule, a good non-conference schedule, is you're going somewhere with an MTE. You are maybe seeing someone in a classic or something like you're doing with Duke this year, and then if you can get a home and home, bonus money, and you have done that with Illinois. So I think this is like A+ scheduling so far,
and an added neutral site.
Yeah, with LSU.
LSU.
Speaking of the Big 12 SEC Challenge.
So you have the big classic. Yeah, you played that game a lot.
The main problem, though, that people have had with the basketball schedule is the home portion of it. It's not the road game. It's not the neutral site. It's that there's nothing to write home about when it comes to your schedule. And that goes to no one wants to come here and face what has become one of the toughest environments, if not the toughest environment in the Big 12 to come play. And
certainly in Big 12 play, it's a very tough place to come.
Now, if you win a national championship, if you make a couple more Final Fours, I think you start to get the credibility that comes with that of, hey, a loss to them is nothing to sneeze at, and look at what it can generate for both programs when they come back here. But you haven't done that next step yet to get that kind of credibility from a national perspective, from the average college basketball fan that only pays attention in March.
But I don't think the home schedule in college basketball is as electric. Like, you just don't get a lot of those across the country. You don't see a lot of home and homes, just like 1 or 2 a season. And I think Illinois is a great step there. And I would like to have somebody else at home this year and play 2 power home and homes, and to get them off center, right? So you're going to 1 and coming to 1. But also just like maybe 2 MTEs or a couple of them, because you have look at the Kansas schedule. Did you see it yesterday? Mm-hmm. It is insane, and it is every year, and that's why even with the mediocre Big 12 season that they had this year, they're still like a 6 seed. And if you would have played that Big 12 schedule from Kansas this year without their non-con, they might be a 9 seed.
And again,
it just sets you up so well.
Whether they're up or down, they're just like, this is where, I agree with Jeff. They're one of the ones that people are just saying yes to, because even though the last couple of years they've struggled, and I don't know how much better they're going to be this year, that logo still carries a lot of weight with basketball as from a draw perspective. But at the same time, I think it's a lot closer than what you're making it out to be for Tech, because I think it's a very noticeable brand in college basketball.
I think it's about to be a noticeable brand. And maybe I'm underselling what you've got with needing a national championship, but you're still the new kid on the block. You're not Gonzaga the 4th year they went through and got everybody's attention. Like, oh, Gonzaga was a fun story. And now it's, where's Gonzaga? We're paying attention to them. I think you're on the cusp of that with the success that you've had and the consistency of that success.
I just think my biggest qualm with the schedule has been not the home schedule that you don't have UConn coming. It's the home schedule that you're all like 350 plus in the net at home. It's all quad 4. Like, just get a couple quad 3s. And you don't know who's going to be a quad 4 before the season. Maybe you go and schedule a team or a program that you think is going to be good, and they just turn out to be terrible. A few years ago, when Louisville fell off a cliff before the season, you're like, oh, good grief, right? That we thought that game was going to be good, and then it wasn't.
I think there's even some more that are farther down. Like when you scheduled San Jose State a couple years ago, I think there was a thought, because they were coming off a pretty good year. You're trying to do a little projection here, and right now that's even more difficult. That's more difficult than ever with these mid majors and as much movement as you see on that level. And so that's kind of a crapshoot. It feels like there may be a couple of locks mixed in there, but even then, with those locks, you're probably competing with a lot of schools who are trying to get them on their schedule.
It just feels like an impossibly tall task to serve up a great non-conference schedule for Texas Tech because of how poor it's been. And it feels like this staff is doing so this year. So overall, I think it's a very positive step how this schedule is shaping up. All right, we'll continue on. Potentially Chris Snead, potentially Kaylee's Dailies on the other side.
So some form of Snead.
Some form.
Bringing you the truth, or something like the truth. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back, 100.7 The Score. It's the Bottom Line. Rob Rowe, Jamie Lent. Clint Scott today. Welcome in, Jamie.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I like your gray shirt. Gray and black.
Thank you.
It's my favorite color, gray.
Graded? Graded.
Yeah, probably.
Wow, that's an interesting favorite color.
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah, it's does that say something about your personality?
Probably does.
I mean, now that I think about it, I would assume most people would think gray would be my favorite color with my kind of toned down personality.
I don't really know that I have a favorite color, but if it would be,
If
like
gray's
gray things.
if gray's your favorite color, does that mean like bland, depressed, or like scandalous? So you have the gray area stuff.
I don't know that we need to get into the psychology of it, of my depression.
I mean, if you're thinking Jamie Lent, I think probably scandalous comes to mind.
Yes,
so,
I think that would be the key word, yeah.
Hit the baby. Yeah, there's that.
If I wouldn't have been here, I would have thought that was him actually saying that.
It was
Oh,
not.
man. Yeah,
I never said those words.
Don't hit the baby. Talking a lot of softball today so far, obviously. I didn't have the pleasure of listening to Beth Moen last night. I sunk up the radio call, and I'm very glad I did, because apparently it was a little bit insufferable there from about inning 3 to inning 4 or 5 with the obstruction stuff we've been talking about so far today. We'll get back into softball in the next segment. I do want to talk about the game as a whole. I feel like we haven't really dug into the game as much as I wanted to. And also look forward to tonight's game, as Texas Tech did not lose the series last night. They just lost a game. It's a
very important thing to remember.
It's a 3-game set if you win tonight. So the world is still your oyster, as they say.
If I don't want an oyster.
The world is your something else similar to an oyster.
Cheeseburger.
The world is your cheeseburger. The world is your fajitas with ketchup.
Okay.
Now, what is that?
Now you've done it. It's not the purpose of today's show.
I think it's a fair question.
No, we don't
It's
need to do that.
that Jamie enjoys ketchup with Mexican food.
Nothing wrong with that. It's like there are some local restaurants that salsas are pretty close to ketchup anyways.
Okay.
Those are the ones I tell people to not go to.
No, we liked one of them. Have a nice song. The green sauce is much better than the salsa.
Oh,
That tastes
so
like
that place
ketchup.
is also dead.
Well, it's not. It's dead here, but not everywhere else.
Which is dead to me. R.I.P. Casa Ole.
Yeah, it was cassoulet. Fresh today. Did you know that? Cassoulet.
Fresh today.
Every day.
Did not know that. I'm just now seeing pictures that Clint Scott is drawing of me. What are we
The
doing?
Portal King.
The Portal King. Yeah.
We will get a transfer portal update as well from Jamie at some point.
And you can follow him on Twitter. Follow Double T973 for all of your Red Raider baseball updates. The Portal King's decrees will reign through the baseball land.
'Cause I'm
We need a-
such a fan of the Portal.
We need a hear ye sounder for whenever we do portal stuff.
Jamie, can you say hear ye in the mic real quick?
I cannot say it.
Oh, that's good. But that's not for right now. For the next couple of minutes, I do want to discuss Joey McGuire. who had some comments on the college football playoff format on I guess it was Serious College Sports yesterday. We've got to take some of the bias out of conferences. This is a tougher conference because of this and that. Let's fight it out on the field. That's from Joey McGuire yesterday.
Seems fair.
The strength of schedule FPI world of college football is a circular motion, because if all of these schools in the SEC and the Big Ten are rated strongly because of these metrics and they play each other, they make those metrics look stronger.
Correct.
There's a flaw in the science of the FPI. I don't know how to correct that without playing everyone else, which is what Joey McGuire is saying.
If you could get these Power 4 conferences to stop playing in non-conference, the Kent States of the world, and instead play another Power 4 conference, you could at least get a better idea. But again, still, you're not going to be able to play everybody. Right. And you may sign up to say, hey, I'm going to play, all Big 12 teams are not created equal. All SEC teams are not created equal. Well, you said I had to play an SEC team. Okay, we're going to play Vanderbilt every year. Okay, hey, we've dominated the Big 12. Yeah, but you've played Houston and UCF the last 2 years. Okay, it matters. But at least you would get closer, to a better feel of that. I don't know, Rob, that there's a perfect answer.
My thought is to have the 4 Power 4 conferences all with 16 teams, and to do an NFL-style schedule where the first-place team from every conference is playing the first-place team from every conference, and then you play 9 conference games and on down the line. And you're scheduling a year or two out, even if it's on a 2-year window, because it's, I guess, impossible to schedule 1 year out in college football, even though every other sport does it. It just seems to me like that seems like a good plan, but it would take some cutting out of conferences, and
it would take some telling schools that are Ohio State, yes, you are going to go travel and play in Waco. You don't get to just host all of those games.
Right.
You don't get to just play the marquee matchups, at home. You're going to have to go, to wherever and play a game and like it.
Yeah.
It would also be saying, hey, SEC, you're not playing 8 conference games. You're not getting directional school.
Yeah, you're not playing UMass in November. Yeah. It would take a lot of fighting, and it would, I think, revolutionize the playoff as well, because at that point I think you could have a lot truer setting on the playoff. I think you could do it would be at that point 4 and 12 if you go to 16, because I think the group of 5 would just be out of luck. They would not be involved in the new playoff. And then you would have a secondary group of 5 playoff, and Fox could make even more money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's my plan, but I don't think that will ever happen. I don't know what the plan is realistically, because I don't think that's very realistic. What is your thought on the playoff? Are you a 5-11 guy? Are you a 4-4-2-2-2 guy? Are you what do you want to see?
I'm okay with the 5-11. Okay. I think in the past I've always been pretty adamant that I don't want anything guaranteed for the non-Power 4 conferences, but I think I've become more accepting of that. It feels like in recent years, more times than not, they've been deserving, so it hasn't had me as bent out of shape about it. So I think the 5-11 model works for me. First and foremost, I'm glad they've changed what they've changed with the seating. And I do desperately want to see it get to 16 and have 8 teams to get to host first-round games, because I think right now those first-round games on a home campus are really, really cool.
I'm a 4-12 guy.
Okay.
I think the top 4 conference. I don't understand why the 5th conference needs anything. If they're better than the Big 12 or the ACC, then they're better than them. All right, more after this. 100.7 The Score. It's the bottom line.
bringing you the truth, or something like the truth. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back, 100.7 The Score. It is The Bottom Line. Rob Rowe, Jamie Lint, Clint Scott today. We will check in with the chat line shortly, but first, Jamie, I want your thoughts on the softball game last night. Of course, it's a massive stage, Texas Tech in Texas. On the stage, just all of the things you want to talk about. Yesterday we talked about you've gone through Florida State, kind of a power in the sport. You went through UCLA, a long-time power in the sport. You went through Oklahoma, the current power of the sport. And then in kind of a different way, I don't think Texas is on the shoulders of those teams, a power in the sport, but certainly kind of a dragon in Texas Tech's mind, trying to beat just across all sports. But the game itself last night, what'd you think about it and some of the calls potentially?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, just where we are sitting right now, I'm really anxious to see how this team responds because, you know, that was a gut kick last night. There's no way around. Anybody who's associated with the Red Raiders felt it, and I can only imagine how bad it felt for that team last night and for the coaching staff, all the above. So I'm really anxious to see. Watching the game last night, I continued to feel like we're the better team. I continued to feel like they're not going to be able to score very much unless they hit the ball out of the ballpark, okay? I just didn't feel like they were going to have innings where they were going to put 2 and 3 hits together to drive in runs. And ultimately in their 2-run inning, they did have 3 hits, one of which was a bloop out to left field, one of which was just perfectly placed in the middle of the diamond.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And then the ball that we all know about on the supposed intentional walk that was not a walk.
Yeah.
But it feels like you have a great chance to still win this series. And the only thing to me that can stop that from happening is for the team to kind of be licking their wounds too much and to not come back. Now, that's not to say that I don't think Texas is a really good team, because I think they are. And not to say that I don't think that they didn't deserve last night. I'm not saying that at all. I am not trying to put down that team. I just think with Nigeria on the mound, you're the more dominant team. And if you can scratch across a run or 2, I think you're in good shape more times than not. So back to the game itself last night. I mean, I think not getting a run across in the first was big.
Huge.
Because when you have – I mean, one of the things that's been so good about this team is them playing out in front. And, okay, you already have Nigeria Kennedy, the best player in the world, on the mound, and you have a lead. I just feel like the other team feels so much pressure, right? And I think this team plays with so much confidence when she's out there on the mound. So last night to not get a run across after having the bases loaded in the first, that felt like a just huge momentum lift for Texas. But what did they do with it? Nothing, because Nigeria Kennedy just killed their momentum by, I'm just going to mow you people down. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You can feel great about that. Okay, you dodged a bullet. But so, you know, then go to the run scoring inning for the Red Raiders. I mean, I don't get the obstruction rule I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
You understand the rule. You understand the nature of it, but the implementation is what I don't understand.
Yeah. I have for a long time, when there was the blocking of the plate going on in baseball, I was against it. If you don't have the ball in your hands, you shouldn't be able to keep somebody from getting to the base. Okay, you just shouldn't. And I don't think you should be able to stick your foot in front of the base and have a person slide in and it hits your foot and, oh, no, you didn't touch the base. You're touching my leg or my foot. I've never been a fan of that. But what we have going on with these 2 calls that both of them, by the way, have favored the Red Raiders.
Yep.
Okay. I just don't understand, because clearly the girl was out both times. There was no, like, I had to go around you or I had to slide to. It just feels like they were pretty simple calls to me. And so that was that's frustrating, but at the same time, it worked out for the Red Raiders last night. But Maya Davis getting the hit when she did is, to me, was what we've seen from this team that I love so much. It feels like every opportunity that they have, they come through.
Yeah.
You know, they may go scoreless. They may not have a girl on base for 2 straight innings, and you feel like the opponent is totally in control, whatever. But if all of a sudden you get a girl to second, I just have so much confidence right now that they're finding a way to get her home, one way or another, whether it's a big hit, whether it's Coach Glasgow pulling off a steal, whether it's a sacrifice fly, whatever, you find a way to get the job done. I think that's been so impressive about this team. And so Maya Davis's hit last night didn't surprise you. It was, kind of what we've come to see. And it felt like for all the world to me that the game was over. Yeah. It really did. It really did. Because,
somebody texted me game over.
Yeah. You're that late into the game with Nigeri on the mound doing what she's doing. And anyway, I felt really good about it. So it was obviously, like I said, a gut kick, a kick in the gut. But at the same time, it's a series. It's a 3-game series. If you handle this the right way and you're not moping in there today, I think this team still has a great chance to win it.
Somebody texted you that?
Yeah, somebody texted me that. Who was that, Clint?
I don't remember.
He's the jinx.
Last night was a blur. No, I'm not, because I did it against Oklahoma too.
You did it several times, yeah. And then the home run happened.
It's my favorite joke in the postseason. As soon as you're up 1-0, is to text about
ball game.
He does that with Kansas basketball games too.
Yeah, once they get up 2-0.
Ball game. Back it up.
If there's anyone in college softball that I think could respond to adversity, it's Nigel Kennedy. I feel like she has a this is going to sound stupid. I feel like she has a strong spirit.
Yeah,
she's a competitor.
Yeah, no doubt.
She's a competitor.
No doubt. A fierce competitor. I just, as a Red Raider, and I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to her when she was at Stanford. I'm not going to lie to you again. Didn't know she existed when she was at Stanford. Okay? But since she's been here, there really hasn't been any adversity. It's been all roses. For this entire season.
She battled through the injury. And
yeah, but she's still been so good. There's been no reason to ever criticize anything that she has done.
In the circle, certainly.
Yeah. Legion home runs. Just a great leader. She's got a charismatic personality. She's fun to root for. There's no doubt. So it'll just be interesting to see how she and her teammates handle all of this. It was also very interesting to see Coach Glasgow in the post-game press conference. He was pretty critical of Demi Elder on that ball that drops to lead off that 7th inning, and so, or 6th inning.
6, yeah.
6th.
Bottom of the 6th.
Bottom of the 6th. Yeah. So it'll be, and she's one of the leaders on the team too. And so you would think that he wouldn't have said what he said unless he thought she could handle it.
Yeah.
But so those are your two of your leaders right there that they've got a chance to bounce back.
Well, earlier in the week there was a press conference between the two coaches and teams, and Alexa Langoliers was asked why she followed Glasgow to Lubbock from Louisiana, and she said he's honest. And I've always looked for that in a coach, and so
it wasn't because she told him he told her she could hit more.
Right? No, not the only reason yet, or $1 million. She's honest, and or he is rather.
He's honest, yeah.
And so I think he can be honest with the team last night, and I think he was honest with himself, saying he probably should have pitched to the best hitter that was over 10. I mean, hindsight's 20/20. I think there was lots of options they could have done. Throw it further outside.
I think that's the best option. But
Beaner. There's a lot of things you could have done.
I thought walking her intentionally was the right play.
Yeah, you get the force outs, you load the bases. I understand the mechanics.
And she had lined out hard against her in the previous
How many times
event.
do you think Nyjah Kennedy has practiced intentional walking with Victoria Valdez?
Probably not that much.
I mean, if it's a mechanic thing, throw that thing 25 miles per hour. It doesn't matter if they're stealing anyways,
Yeah.
because
Roll
you're
it.
about to.
Yeah, throw the ephus. Yeah.
Roll it.
You got to get it there fast enough for them not to. Well, I guess you can't
Because
steal home.
if
You can
they
home or
steal,
whatever.
you're going to the same spot. So
Yeah, I think they might have already. Either way. Yeah.
They stole second on the first pitch to put runners at second.
that's right. So they're not going home on that.
And I'm glad it didn't end up mattering, but the near debacle in the top of the seventh I thought was even worse, with the umpire hitting the catcher's arm
Oh, my
as
goodness.
she's throwing down to first or pitcher in second. All right, more after this. 100.7 scores the bottom line.
Getting to the point, but taking the scenic route to get there. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back, 100.7 The Score. It is the bottom line. It is time for a question of the day.
Time now for Jamie's question of the day on 100.7 The Score. Brought to you by someone not named Jamie and presented by Connecticut of West Texas. Life's hard, your water shouldn't be.
All right, I should have told you to do this in the break, but I didn't. That's on me. So see if you can remember off the top of your head, or if you can find it. The college football playoff field from last year, the 12 teams that are in. There's going to be one team that doesn't apply for this answer. So of the 11 teams that aren't Arizona State, because they're in the conference with you, of those 11 teams, for the sport of basketball, if I let you choose two of those to play a home and home with for Red Raider basketball, who would they be?
Boy, Clint has his thinking shoes on today.
They're Crocs.
I know, that's what I figured. How embarrassing.
I think more when my feet can breathe.
How embarrassing for you. Home and home. Who would I want a home and home with in hoops?
All right. I think I have mine.
Did you say I get two?
You get two.
You two.
Because we'll plan it out like you're alternating in the, fun imagination world.
I think there's three fairly easy answers. Four that I would not argue with. I think Indiana would be one. I think they're beatable. I think the Big Ten as a conference, I think they still hold a little juice if they can get back into it. And it's a historic venue to go see. That'd be cool to do. Probably get a good fan movement to go out to Indiana for one time. The other one would be, I don't want to play Texas in football anymore. But all the other sports, I would like to play them as much as possible. But I think for this question, I would go Tennessee. I think I would go Indiana, Tennessee as my two.
What about Tennessee? Just that they're a good program.
Good program, SEC, Rick Barnes. And I think they would travel well to Lubbock, and I think you would travel well to Knoxville.
Okay, I will take Tennessee, and I will take Texas. Indiana was close for me, but they're just not quite as good as they have been. I think the Tennessee matchup would be a lot of fun. I think it would be fun to play in front of that crowd and that atmosphere, all that. And I think about with Texas, I think about them coming here and how excited our fan base would be to watch us play Texas again. So I'm going with a couple of SEC schools there in Texas and Tennessee.
Yeah, Oregon would be a draw here. Do not want to play on that court.
It has gotten a little bit better, but I'm still with you. I think Indiana has lost their luster a little bit.
They should have. But I just feel like nationally they just still, I don't know.
Maybe they might be fifth on my list.
Really?
Yeah, because Tennessee for sure is on there. It should be Texas, And so I think I will say Texas, but SMU was honestly a lot closer just because you're going to have a lot of fans, and it would be basically another Dickies Arena sort of home game over there. And I also just think that that's an easy ACC Big 12 matchup, whether it's a high-profile ACC matchup or not. That just seems like it's easy to do and should be something that you do sometimes.
Yeah, easy trip.
Yes.
The fan base is already there in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Was there some drama with their basketball coach talking about Texas Tech? Or was that just the football coach?
I don't remember.
It might have just been Rhett Lashley, but I think there was some drama with their basketball coach too. But I think he's been fired.
For saying those things? That's what happens when
sure.
you talk trash about the Red Raiders.
Yeah, that was the reason. Yeah. It was something like he didn't want to step off the plane in Lubbock or something. I don't know. It was some comment he made. So maybe you do have a little juice there against SMU. Notre Dame, no. Ohio State's probably the better program out of the Big Ten. Oregon as well over Indiana, but I don't know. You get to go to Hinkle and.
I think it would be cool to see our guys play on Oregon's funky court. Just like I'd love to see our football team play Boise State on the road.
No. I don't want anything to do with that blue field.
It would be very American. We'd see lots of red on lots of blue.
Would you go red, white, red?
Yes. Like
the stripes, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I don't think we have red helmets anymore, but we should get them if we play at Boise State.
I'm sure we can get them if we want
we
them.
can figure that out.
I'm getting motion sickness thinking about it. It's like one of those things where you stare at an image long enough and it like starts moving.
And you're like,
Gross.
oh, I see something.
Disgusting.
It's a chicken nugget.
I see the number 12 in the middle of the field.
Is that Abraham Lincoln? You know what's funny is if you look at like the 11 in this field from the basketball perspective, I would think maybe most people would go, okay, well, the least palatable on there, at least bottom two, is like Boise State. Yet if they were one of your group of fives, that'd be a pretty good. I wouldn't necessarily want to go to Boise State, but like that would be a pretty solid Mountain West team to get.
I would want to play 5 or 6 of these Mountain West schools. I mean, they're a pretty good basketball conference. Again, maybe it's like a home in a way, and you're getting a little bit extra out of it, or it's just a bye game and they're coming here, but.
Or maybe they trade you their head coach and you get a couple games out of it.
Yeah, 6 years later.
What? That's crazy talk.
Well, not now, but you've already traded a head coach there. Yeah, UNLV would be fun. UNLV would be fun. And these New Mexico schools, I never want to play them again in baseball, but basketball would be fun. I don't like the baseball series in New Mexico.
Jamie loves it.
I'm fine with New Mexico State.
Yeah,
Just
so
don't make me go
Jamie
back to
doesn't want to
BYU.
He doesn't want to get mangled again.
Just don't make me go back to BYU.
well, you'll probably go back to BYU. They're in the conference.
They
now.
offer
might
you
just-
ice cream, Jamie,
I might just stay at the Y this time.
whether you're talking or not.
Why? Just go take a tent. Stay in the mountains.
Well,
There you go.
yeah.
It's probably a state park pretty close.
Take a tent sounds like an alternate version of like take a hike. Like,
Take a tent, Jamie. Get out of here.
Back a
Get over
tent,
yourself.
Jamie.
Well, pack it up. Go on a hike. Take a hike, Jamie.
Bring a cot.
Gonna bring my own walls with me.
Own walls is the most Jamie thing ever.
Get you here, Coach Tadlock. Now, what do you got there, Jamie? I had some walls for the making a broadcast booth, Coach.
You know
Let's
they
see.
have
Trying to
what
keep
you
out the
can-
ice cream vendor.
Have you seen for like camping, you can get the very slender tents that are like portable shower tents or like portable restroom tents, but the front part opens?
Uh-huh.
You could bring that in a booth.
Okay.
And some of those might have a built-in seat, depending
we
which
need-
angle you go.
Would we need 2 of those? One for me and one for Hacks?
Okay, get 2. Cut a little hole in between, face-size hole.
They got headphones. They can hear each other.
Yeah. You guys are
We don't
plugged
need
in.
to look at each other.
All of a sudden, like the guy offering ice cream is just like a bear in the tent in the woods, just scratching at the side.
He like leans over the front. He's like, or comes up from the front window from the stands.
I'll just
Forgot
bring
your
my,
delicious frozen treat, pal.
I'll just bring bear spray with me.
Is there a bear trap in the booth? It's for the niceness.
Back to the intentional walk. Maybe commit a hit by pitch. Seen that before.
Yeah, you risk missing, and then the
Yeah.
ball gets passed.
Right. Yeah, another one says throw it behind her so you can also protect third base. That seems like even more of a drama there.
Yeah.
And you might get warnings and everything else if you intentionally hit somebody. Bullfighter says Chuck and Clint are related. I'll leave the context out of that one.
I didn't actually believe my joke that I've done the entire postseason and am 8-1. So take your jinx somewhere else. Give it to the ones who are really jinxes.
Some more comments on the scheduling and the college football playoff we'll read in a second as well. When we come back, a couple of dad jokes and more sports talk on the bottom line, 100.7 The Score.
This has been the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score. Go to 100-7thescore.com for more from the Double T Sports Network.